Welcome to Gameonysus Weekly, your one-stop shop for video game news, keeping up with the biggest stories so you don't have to. I'm your host, Janet Garcia, and today we're talking about Bobby Kotick getting exposed, Rockstar's apology, and the Game Award nominations. All these stories and so much more on today's episode. Starting with Bobby Kotick, and a lot of these stories this week are based on that initial story of this report by the Wall Street Journal and how that sort of snowballed into resignation calls, into industry responses. So for the sake of time, we're going to spend a little bit of time on each of these stories in the attempt to kind of keep moving the show forward and eventually get the larger picture of kind of what's going on in the industry right now and what's the conversation around Bobby Kotick. Starting with Activision Blizzard employees call for CEO Bobby Kotick's resignation. This comes over from Megan Farrokh-Ramesh at Axios, who writes, Activision Blizzard employees are calling for CEO Bobby Kotick's resignation, and some are planning to hold a walkout Tuesday following a bombshell Wall Street Journal report about how the company has handled sexual harassment complaints. Driving the news. The Journal, citing interviews and internal documents, found that Kotick not only knew about several instances of sexual harassment, but also has a history of personally shielding abusers and reports of harassment. Activision Blizzard has called the report misleading. According to Wall Street Journal, Kotick, quote, didn't inform the board of directors about everything he knew. The interviews and documents show, even after regulators began investigating the incidents in 2018. Kotick also reportedly harassed an assistant by threatening in a voicemail to have her killed. A spokesperson told Wall Street Journal that he regrets the exaggeration and tone in his voicemail. What they're saying, we have instituted our own zero tolerance policy, tweeted the ABK Workers Alliance, a collective employees attempting to unionize. We will not be silenced until Bobby Kotick has been replaced as CEO and continue to hold our original demand for third-party review by an employee-chosen source. Furthermore, Activision Treyarch co-head Dan Bunting has left the company, a spokesperson confirmed to Axios. Wall Street Journal reports that Bunting was accused of harassment in 2017 but was not fired after Kotick intervened. Mr. Bunting, who led Treyarch through the production of several successful Call of Duty games, was given counseling and allowed to remain at the company, the Journal writes. When questioned about the reporting, an Activision Blizzard spokesperson told Axios that after considering potential actions in light of that investigation, the company elected to not terminate Mr. Bunting, but instead to impose other disciplinary measures. Bunting reportedly left the company after the Wall Street Journal's inquiries about the incident. The big picture, Activision Blizzard has been embroiled in an ongoing scandal as the company faces harassment, misconduct, and discrimination lawsuits and investigations. The SEC launched an investigation against Kotick and Activision Blizzard in September. The company has also been subject to many high-profile departures. What they're saying, in a statement to Axios, an Activision Blizzard spokesperson said the company is disappointed in the Wall Street Journal's report, which presents a misleading view of Activision Blizzard and our CEO. Instances of sexual misconduct that were brought to his attention were acted upon. The Wall Street Journal ignores important changes underway to make this industry's most welcoming and inclusive workplace, and it fails to account for the efforts of thousands of employees who work hard every day to live up to their and our values. In a video shared with employees Tuesday, Kotick reiterated that sentiment, accusing the report of painting an inaccurate and misleading view of our company, of me personally, and my leadership. And another big component of this has been the board standing beside Bobby Kotick and supporting him, and people are calling for like those board members to be removed as well and all this other stuff. So it's been a scene. Like, that report has spawned so much conversation and support for Activision Blizzard workers, and also the call for the removal of Bobby Kotick as CEO. How he's still CEO or how much longer he'll be CEO remains to be seen, but everybody wants this man gone, except for, it seems, the people that maybe have the power to make that happen. But honestly, I feel like it's only a matter of time. I mean, this surely cannot go on the way it is. And that brings us to those resignation calls. Also from Axios, we have over 800 Activision Blizzard employees call for Kotick's resignation. More than 800 Activision Blizzard employees are calling for CEO Bobby Kotick to resign in an open letter published today. The big picture: pressure is mounting both inside the company and across the industry for Kotick to step away from his position, with the letter stating, the information that has come to light about his behaviors and practices in the running of our companies runs counter to the culture and integrity we require for our leadership and directly conflicts with the initiatives started by our peers, the petition continues. For additional context, this also mentions how Xbox and PlayStation heads Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan have sent emails to staff critical of Activision Blizzard leadership. According to Bloomberg, both companies have reportedly reached out to Activision Blizzard's leadership directly. Inside the company, multiple sources describe a mood of anger, frustration, and exhaustion. A lot of people don't want to be here, one source told Axios. We keep getting traumatized every week, said another. There's something new coming down the pipeline that's not good, and our leadership just continues to mishandle everything and mistreat us. Some employees want to continue walkouts this week, but say they're unable to do so without the support of a union. That becomes an official strike, one said. Because of the potential financial ramifications of such a move, we're not really equipped to go on strike. Employees who are still on the fence about unionizing fear for their jobs. We can't really afford to just say, I'm willing to put my entire job on the line or be blacklisted from the industry as a whole in order to support the union effort. A lot of us are living paycheck to paycheck. Activision Blizzard has yet to acknowledge the existence of a BK Workers Alliance, with employees citing wait-and-see tactics from Activision Blizzard. They're always just kind of just waiting for us to forget about it, and then it blows over, and then they'll do a very little, said one employee. What's next? Employees say they will continue to build support internally for a union. I don't know if I'd be ready to trust corporate again without a union behind me, one source said. I think if they wanted those who were hurt to feel safe again, they could make a public promise to remain neutral and not interfere with any future organizing efforts. This walkout isn't the end of this, the source said. It's showing that the employees of Activision Blizzard can mobilize, that we can organize and coordinate. It's a demonstration we aren't shutting up. And yeah, as far as the striking angle, that is absolutely one of the reasons to have a union. And I think that totally makes sense, where it's like, well, you can't really strike safely without a union. And one of the things that unions do is they are able to vote and sort of very officially have their strikes. So you kind of just can vote together on, are we striking, are we not? And then if you vote in favor, boom, it's happening. And that's it. Again, unions are not magic wands. They're not perfect. There are plenty of flawed unions. You do have to pay for the union and things like that. But I'm always of the mind, any union is better than no union. At least you have something. At least there's a structure in place to actually help you that is worker oriented and not company oriented the way like an HR department technically is. Even, maybe you have a good one and you have a really good experience with HR, but generally that is the breakdown and that is the priority, while a union is very much made for and by employees. At the same time, yeah, it is scary to think about getting caught making the union. It's weird because you can, once the union's there and you're in it, it's like it's all fine, but at least for the most part, kind of sometimes. But yeah, the formation is very, very risky. Yeah, it's a horrible position to have to be in, but I do think that unions will hopefully be the wave of the future. And it just is really unfortunate to be put in a position where you sort of are faced with nothing but kind of negative decisions. Either you leave where you are, you put up with it, you try to fix it. All of them have a lot of darkness to them and a lot of an uphill battle to them. So at the end of the day, I think you kind of just have to pick what you truly want and go for that, because none of those paths are easy paths. There is no easy answer in this situation. All of it has some layer of horribleness attached to it. As that last Axios article alluded to, there has been conversation surrounding Microsoft and PlayStation's response to this whole situation. And for that summary, we head over to Polygon with the headline, Activision leadership now under fire from Xbox PlayStation bosses. This comes from ONS Good, who writes, Activision's leadership is facing criticism from its two biggest console partners, PlayStation and Xbox, over the company's handling of sexual harassment and discrimination scandal that has festered over the past 5 months. Bloomberg earlier reported that Jim Ryan, Sony's chief executive for PlayStation, sent a note to employees referencing the story's latest developments on Tuesday and said Activision Blizzard has not done enough to address the deep-seated culture of discrimination and harassment. Then on Thursday, Xbox boss Phil Spencer also messaged his employees about the Wall Street Journal's report on November 16th, saying he and others on the management team are disturbed and deeply troubled by the horrific events and actions at Activision Blizzard. Jumping down a bit further in the article, just because we already discussed the Wall Street Journal's report and what that entailed, the piece continues with, Spencer, said Bloomberg, is evaluating all aspects of our relationship with Activision Blizzard and making ongoing proactive adjustments. Ryan's email to PlayStation workers did not explicitly say the company was examining its business with Activision, which publishes huge franchises like Call of Duty, Overwatch, and Diablo on consoles. The internal emails seen by Bloomberg come to light as more than 1,000 Activision Blizzard workers endorsed a petition demanding Kotick's resignation. A public petition signed by those who do not work for the company has swelled to more than 13,000 signatures too. It's worth noting, though, there's also a disclosure at the bottom of this article saying Casey Wasserman is on the board of directors for Activision Blizzard, as well as the board of directors for VoxMedia, which is Polygon's parent company. Again, I don't think that actually affected anything that was written in this article necessarily, but that is a disclosure they listed on the bottom, so I thought I would mention it on here as well as I am citing this article. And yeah, I think that's, well, one, it's really important for industry leaders, even though they're in a sense removed from Activision Blizzard. Obviously, they do business with them, so they're not, how removed are you if you're still doing business with them, right? But it's not happening at their company, but I think it's so important to address that with your employees, because this is one of those stories that really permeates the industry and is on everyone's mind and is sort of causing a lot of internal questions and reflections and concerns and stresses. Like, it permeates everything in such a big deal way. Yeah, you can't really just be expected to go on without unceremoniously. So I think it is really important for leadership to step up and make a statement about that. Again, even though it's not something happening directly at your company, I think it's part of that larger conversation of the industry. The idea of Spencer evaluating the relationship with Activision Blizzard going forward, I'm not exactly sure what that means. Like, is there a world where Call of Duty could be pulled from Xbox platforms and Microsoft platforms? Maybe. At this point, I feel like I have seen really wild things happen in this industry that I thought never would happen or never could happen, and I've seen those things happen. Things like, you know, Cyberpunk being delisted, things like there being, oh, here's the new prices for Xbox Gold. Just kidding, everybody hates it, we're changing it, sorry. Like, you know, Rockstar Apologizing, we have that later on. Like, there have been things that I have not thought would happen from like a likelihood standpoint that have gone down. So in that sense, I feel like there is a possibility. And it's weird because it's one of those things where if I say this isn't anything, that would have to be that he's lying. And I like to think that he would not make a statement like that lightly in an email like that, in a paper trail. I feel like it's so much easier to just not make a comment about it. With, you know, no shade to Jim Ryan, but Jim Ryan did not make a comment like that. So I feel like it would be weird to put that in there as a lie because it seems so unnecessary. You could have just said nothing. But we'll see what ends up happening. It might be something that we're not really privy to either, where maybe there is a bit of a, you know, what would be the word for it? A bit of an ultimatum that we're just never really aware of. At the same time, though, I think we are hearing a lot about like internal stuff that we're not supposed to know from reporting. So I feel like if there is a follow-up here, we will know about it. And if there's not, I think there's a good chance we'll know about that too. And finally, with Activision Blizzard, we have a lack of pay parity story. Coming from Kat Bailey over at IGN, the headline reads, former Blizzard co-lead Jen O'Neill says she was offered equal contract only after resigning. And the article is rather long. I recommend you go over and read it in its entirety, but just for sake of brevity, I'm heading over to IGN's full timeline of the Activision Blizzard lawsuit, and I'm going to be reading from that excerpt. So I'll also link that article down below, as well as the full article on this story. That excerpt reads, amid the Wall Street Journal report on Bobby Kotick, additional reports emerged that former Blizzard co-leader Jennifer O'Neill wanted to resign in part due to issues that included being paid less than her male counterpart, Mike Ybarra. Ybarra has now told Blizzard employees he and O'Neill asked for pay parity together, but O'Neill says she was offered an equal contract only after resigning from her role. Ybarra responded to allegations in internal messages separately confirmed by multiple Blizzard employees. The messages, screenshots of which were viewed by IGN, were posted in a public Slack channel and directed to Blizzard employees. Ybarra explained that Jen and I shared with management that we want to be paid the same to co-lead Blizzard together, adding that they had entered their new roles on existing previous contracts, explaining their pay difference. However, O'Neill seemingly sought to clarify the situation further, adding details that Ybarra had not mentioned. In addition, conversations viewed by IGN, O'Neill responded forcefully to Ybarra's comments, saying that Activision Blizzard had rejected the pay parity request on multiple occasions. She continued, while the company informed me before I tendered my resignation that they were working on a new proposal, we were made equivalent offers only after I tendered that resignation. And yeah, I mean, this is, really unfortunate to hear. I think especially in the midst of everything else, it really paints the picture of no one is safe under Activision Blizzard, even those in really high up roles, which we all know that being in high up roles and, being in positions of power does not make it so that you are totally untouchable when it comes to facing discrimination, sexism, harassment, or any other horrible thing that a worker may experience. But I think this really speaks to just deep problems at the company and also just shitty tactics. I mean, I think in, one of the Axios articles, an employee mentioned that it feels like Activision Blizzard is just trying to do a wait and see approach. They're hoping this blows over. They're hoping we get tired of fighting it and that we just kind of give up and forget about it. And I think that constant rejection is so classic from a job like this, where you keep asking and asking and they're like, oh yeah, we're working on it maybe, and then when you decide to leave, they're like, oh, actually we have it ready for you, the thing that we didn't think you would leave over, and now that you actually are saying that you're resigning, we will offer you the thing that you said you wanted, that basically probably caused you to resign. And at that point, it's like way too little too late, because if you show back up for that, I mean, you're going to be in for a bad time. Like, if it has to get that far, this is not a good place for you to be. So shout out to Jen O'Neill for just, walking away from that. But yeah, that's so shout out to Jen O'Neill for, no longer being in that situation. But man, yeah, that is like, generally when a job tells you no, like, unless they're really, really, truly working on it and they give you hard, like, deadlines and timelines and like, they're not going to give you this thing. You should just give up. And if they do give it to you, it's going to be so egregiously late that it is still rather insulting. So, I mean, I don't know. I have no nice things to say about this. It's so frustrating. And I think it harkens back to so many ways that, like, I've seen people in my industry mistreated, or the ways that I felt slighted in different positions. Granted, not pay parity ones exactly, but yeah, this is a tale as old as time. Jobs being shitty and making shitty excuses for why things are not better, or things are not ideal, or why they can't give you something that they clearly can give you. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it is insane. But yeah, I think this really helps further contextualize everything going on with this Wall Street Journal report. Shifting gears, let's talk about Rockstar apologizing. Last week we talked about the issues with the launch, and now we're talking about the apology for said launch. This comes over from Rockstar directly with the headline or title, "A note from the Rockstar Games team, RE Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition." Hi everyone, we want to provide an update regarding the unexpected technical issues that came to light as part of the launch of Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. Firstly, we want to sincerely apologize to everyone who has encountered issues playing these games. The Grand Theft Auto series and the games that make up this iconic trilogy are as special to us as we know they are to fans around the world. The updated versions of these classic games did not launch in a state that meets our standards of quality or the standards our fans have come to expect. We have ongoing plans to address the technical issues and improve each game going forward. With each planned update, the games will reach the level of quality they deserve to be. A new title update is on the way in the coming days for all versions of GTA, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, that will address a number of issues. We will update everyone as soon as it is live. In the meantime, it pains us to mention that we are hearing reports of members of our development teams being harassed on social media. We would kindly ask our community to please maintain a respectful and civil discourse around this release as we work through these issues. While one of the goals of the Definitive Editions was to allow players to enjoy these games on modern platforms for many years to come, we also understand that some of you would still like to purchase the previous classic versions. We will be adding the classic PC versions of GTA 3, GTA Vice City, and GTA San Andreas back to the Rockstar store shortly as a bundle. Additionally, everyone who has purchased Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition for PC from Rockstar through June 30th, 2022 will receive these classic versions in their launcher library at no additional cost. We will update everyone as soon as these are back in the Rockstar store. I'm honestly really surprised to see this. Not shocked, because we have seen responses sort of like this before, but they're never guaranteed. I don't think they become standard practice when you have like a decent amount of launch issues to really issue like this formal of an apology. So I am surprised by that, and I'm really surprised by them relisting the older versions on PC. I do wish that was on console too, but it is what it is. But having those on PC and then having them available to you for no additional cost. I feel like clearly they feel like they really have to do some correction here and some course correcting here. And obviously we all felt that way. Like the wider community was like, these games are not what they should have been. That's like at the lightest criticism, at the harshest criticism, these are unplayable, broken messes. Like that's kind of the gambit. Again, even myself, where I have fun with the trilogy, I like it, I'm gonna keep playing it. Is it kind of broken? Yeah. Do I care? Not enough to stop playing it, to be honest. That's where I was at. But even myself, again, I can still acknowledge that they are broken and buggy in a lot of ways, and that they inadvertently make certain elements of the game look worse, despite it being like a better looking version of the game. It's all very complicated, but I am surprised to see them being so on it with trying to correct this. Hopefully the patch notes are detailed and that they continue to communicate this further, but at the end of the day, I do think that this changes my perspective on their future remasters, and I would really like to see a full, more traditional press cycle for whatever they have next in terms of, or even just like betas available to people. Like I want to see them making sure this never happens again. But at this point, we have to kind of see how good of a job do they do at course correcting this, and then also what does the future of their remakes look like. And pivoting to a quick industry update, Private Division acquires developer Roll7, known for their upcoming game Olli World. The press release reads, first studio acquisition for Private Division brings wealth of development talent, creativity, and style of beloved olli creators to label. Private Division, a publishing label of Take-Two Interactive, today announced that they have acquired video game developer Roll7. Based in London, the BAFTA award-winning studio is currently developing Olli World to be published by Private Division and planned for launch this winter during Take-Two's fiscal fourth quarter ending March 31st, 2022. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. Then there's like, a little bit more talking about the studio, quotes from each of them. Let's just get the quote from Roll7, which says, Private Division has been an incredible publishing partner for Olli World, and we're elated to continue to grow as a studio as part of the label, said Simon Bennett, co-CEO at Roll7. Private Division has empowered our amazing team to raise the bar on our creativity and scope for Olli World. Joining the label puts us in a great position to continue to grow, to set our sights on achieving our ambition to become a preeminent global video game developer. And as a refresher for developers underneath Private Division, we have Obsidian, Roll7 now, Moon Studios, Panache Digital Games, I might not be saying that right, and Squad. And as far as games they published, it runs the gambit, stuff like Hades, Kerbal Space Program 2, Disintegration, Ancestors, The Outer Worlds, Kerbal Space Program. I mean, I think it's always cool to see indies sort of get picked up in this way. And as I always say with these stories, the folks that are actually doing those business deals, obviously will one know more about the terms than I do. Hopefully they are making a good deal for themselves. It's something that moves them forward, gives them more resources, more stability, and allows them to flourish creatively. That is always my hope for these things. Again, other than sometimes there are certain publishers or certain developers that I have like a really severe attachment to. The severe sounds kind of negative, where I have a little bit more of an excitement maybe for a certain deal. But for this, yeah, again, generally seems good. Hopefully it is good. The Game Awards finally put out their list of nominees. Now there's a whole bunch of categories. I think for sake of time, we will just do Game of the Year, but I'll be doing other content looking at all of the categories. So stay tuned to twitch.tv/Gameonysus and youtube.com/Gameonysus, which if you're watching the video version, you're already here for more content on that, looking at all the categories in a really specific way. But again, let's look at Game of the Year. And for Game of the Year, our nominees are Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village. And I have to say, I've said this on a couple pieces of content and on the internet, but I'll keep saying it because I'm very excited. I predicted 5 out of 6 of these, so I'm like, okay, I think I get where the industry's at and what people are feeling. The one that surprised me that I did not predict was Psychonauts 2. I had instead slotted, I think, Returnal for that, which I am surprised to not see Returnal here. It felt like a lot of people liked that game, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess like it didn't make it. It did not make it, but this does have me having yet another incentive to go back and play more Psychonauts 2. For me, my Game of the Year remains unchanged is Deathloop. I think it's still gonna be Deathloop. I think things that might change for me with my like top 10 or like sort of the bottom section of that, based on if I can, play more of Psychonauts 2, if I can finish Ratchet and Clank, things like that, just to sort of get a full understanding of those games. And now let's talk delays. Halo Infinite's campaign co-op mode has been delayed until May 2022 at the earliest, and Forge mode is delayed for even later. For this, I'm pulling from Wesley Ampool over at Eurogamer, who was able to confirm that the recent extension of Halo Infinite Season 1 to May 2022 also means the releases of the campaign co-op and Forge modes have been pushed back from that initial launch target. And this is because it's all tied to each other, where they have it launching with these certain seasons. So with the season being delayed, it also was able to confirm that, yes, that means the campaign co-op and Forge is also delayed. User creation tool Forge, meanwhile, wasn't supposed to hit Halo Infinite until Season 3 at the earliest. And continuing with the delays, Saints Row is also delayed. It is no longer launching February 25th, 2022. Instead, it will launch August 23rd, 2022. And for a final delay, we may not really know what Pragmata is, but we know what it's not, and that's arriving anytime before a release window of 2023, as it's been delayed to that new release window. For game event recaps, let's talk about Xbox's 20th anniversary show, which highlighted cool things like a 6-part documentary releasing next month that's going over the story of Xbox, over 70 new backward compatible games from the OG Xbox, though IGN also confirmed this is the last big drop of OG Xbox games because the rest are caught up in licensing and other issues. This is kind of the end of that excitement, but it was still a very surprising and very cool drop to have. And by far the biggest thing was that Halo multiplayer ready now. They did drop it. It is already ready to go. People have been playing it. It's out, but the campaign comes out at its actual full release date. For releases and updates, A Short Hike lands on PlayStation and Xbox November 16th, so that's already out. It does have a platinum if you're playing on PlayStation, so go ahead and get that platinum. And it's a fantastic game. I love this game. I'd been waiting for the full release date, and now it's here and out on those platforms as well, so you can play A Short Hike across anything: PC, Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever you want to go with. And for the free section, Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Brain has a demo available. This is sort of a lightly Brain Age adjacent game that's dropping on Switch on December 3rd. I'm excited for this game, so I downloaded the demo. I also have not checked out the demo yet, but it's a good thing to just parse through if you're curious to know about this, or maybe you forgot this game existed and you just want to check it out. Also free on PC via Epic Game Store or on PlayStation 5, Kid Amnesia Exhibition, Radiohead's weird, it's not a game, it's a game that's available. It's essentially a interactive, I guess, is it interactive? Because you don't really interact with the objects as much. It's an odd museum type space. It's free to download. I'm not sure how long it takes to go through. I do feel like I went through everything. I don't know how long I was in there. I kind of got lost in there. It was fun. It was really cool. I do think it's would only be interesting to people that are already fans of Radiohead, just because, knowing those albums and having an excitement and attachment to those songs, when they become weird, or they're pulling out certain pieces, or others are getting a phone call of the lyrics, or there's lyrics appearing on the wall, that becomes a lot more meaningful if you already are familiar with that source material. I think without the source material, it can still be kind of entertaining, but I wouldn't really recommend it to people, and I don't think people would find it quite as moving. Definitely had some really fun moments in there. Definitely also a little bit scary, a little bit nauseating at parts, and I do wish that they made it a little bit easier to navigate. I think they intentionally want you to get sort of lost, but I did find myself kind of going in circles and being well, I want to see everything, where do I go? And I don't think that's a great feeling to have in any museum, digital or real. So those are my quick takes on Radiohead Kid Amnesia Exhibition. That's very hard to say. It's Kid Amnesiac, right? Combined together. But yeah, those are cool things to check out that are currently free. And lastly, for the Shove and Take My Money section, I just want to give a quick shout out to the deals that are going on right now. There's a lot of digital Black Friday deals. I was looking at the PlayStation Black Friday sale, and I picked up Outer Wilds for the first time. It's on sale for $14. There's a lot of actual physical game sales as well. Definitely Wario 64 is someone I turn to a lot for that. A lot of these Game of the Year Contender games are also on sale. I heard Guardians is on sale right now. I think physical, maybe also digital. And it's a game that I just started playing. So just kind of a generalized blanket PSA on all the deals that are going on right now. Be sure to take advantage of those if you are looking to catch up on some games that you may have missed earlier in the year. And those are all the stories we have this week. Thank you so much for watching over on youtube.com/Gameonysus and listening on podcast services. Be sure to drop a review because it helps the show a whole lot. And if you're looking to support the show, be sure to head over to patreon.com/Gameonysus. We have rewards as low as the $1 tier all the way up to the $25 tier. So again, shout out to my patrons always who help make this show possible. And a quick PSA, as next week is Thanksgiving here in the US, so there will not be an episode airing that Saturday. And then I'm going to plan for extra content dropping, I think, on YouTube, maybe some podcast content. I'm not sure, just for December, just to kind of fill a little bit of those gaps so I can take off without y'all feeling like you are missing out on a bunch of content. So stay tuned for all of that happening across my channels. And as always, I will see y'all here next time. Bye.